Welcome to another episode of History of the Popes. Today we turn to Pope Lucius I, the 22nd successor of St. Peter, whose pontificate from 253 to 254 unfolds as a brief yet poignant chapter in the Church's 3rd century saga. Lucius's life, marked by exile, mercy, and martyrdom, offers a quiet witness to the resilience of faith in an age when the empire sought to crush the Christian spirit. His story, though sparsely documented, speaks of continuity and compassion, a bridge between the trials of his predecessors and the challenges that await. Let us step into Rome in June 253. The Church is still reeling from the Decian persecution which claimed Pope Fabian in 250 and drove his successor Cornelius into exile and martyrdom just months earlier. The Emperor Gallus, continuing Decius's policy, targets Christian leaders to break the Church's cohesion. The Roman See, vacant since Cornelius's death, is a dangerous throne, its occupant a marked man in an empire that brooks no rival to its gods. Yet the Christian community, gathering in secret, perhaps in the catacombs along the Via Appia or in the hidden rooms of a faithful household, elects Lucius as their bishop on June 25th, 253. His name, derived from the Latin lux, meaning light, seems almost prophetic, a flicker of hope in a darkened hour. The Liber Pontificalis tells us little about Lucius. He was a Roman, born around 200, likely a priest in the city's clergy, a man of unassuming origins but deep fidelity. Eusebius of Caesarea mentions him briefly. It is Cyprian of Carthage who offers the clearest glimpse. In a letter to Lucius, Cyprian praises his election as a sign of divine favor, a pastor chosen to guide a flock still trembling from persecution's lash. Lucius inherits a church scarred by the Decian edict, which had forced many to apostatize, offering sacrifices to pagan gods or buying false certificates of compliance. The schism of Novatian, the rigorist antipope who opposed Cornelius's policy of reconciling these lapsi, lingers like a shadow, dividing communities across the empire. Lucius, like Cornelius, must navigate this delicate terrain, balancing justice with mercy. Almost immediately, Lucius faces the empire's wrath. The Liber Pontificalis and later martyrologies record that he is arrested and exiled, likely to Centum Celli, the same port city where Cornelius met his end. The details are murky. 3rd century sources are often more hagiographic than historical, but the pattern is clear. Gallus, like his predecessors, sees Christian bishops as threats to imperial unity. Exile in this era is no mere banishment. It is a sentence of hardship, often a prelude to execution with meager rations and exposure to the elements. Yet Lucius's exile is brief. In early 254, a shift in imperial policy, perhaps the death of Gallus or a temporary easing of persecution, allows his return to Rome. Cyprian, in another letter, rejoices at Lucius's restoration, comparing him to the apostles who endured trials, yet returned to strengthen their brethren. This reprieve, however, is fleeting, for Lucius dies on March 5th, 254, after a pontificate of just 8 months. Was Lucius a martyr? The Liber Pontificalis and the Martyrologium Hieronymianum proclaim him as such, suggesting he died for the faith, perhaps executed upon his return or succumbing to the rigors of exile's aftermath. His epitaph in the Catacomb of Calixtus, uncovered by archaeologists like Giovanni Battista de Rossi, reads simply Lucius Episcopus, with no explicit mention of martyrdom, a silence that has led some modern scholars to question the tradition. Yet in the 3rd century, the line between natural death and martyrdom is thin. to lead the church under persecution was to court death daily, whether by sword or suffering. Lucius's end seals his witness, his body laid to rest alongside Fabian and Cornelius in that sacred crypt, a testament to the continuity of sacrifice. Lucius's brief reign leaves few concrete achievements, but its impact lies in its fidelity to the path of his predecessors. Like Cornelius, he upholds the policy of reconciling the lapsi, offering penance as a bridge back to the church. Cyprian's letters suggest Lucius corresponded with other bishops, reinforcing Rome's role as a centre of communion amid the Novatian schism's ripples. The Liber Pontificalis credits him with ordaining priests and deacons, continuing the organizational work of Fabian, ensuring the diaconia, those hubs of charity, remained lifelines for the poor and persecuted. In a church where survival demanded both spiritual and practical resilience, Lucius's steady hand preserved order, even as the empire's shadow loomed. What lessons does Lucius offer us? His pontificate, a mere flicker in the annals, reminds us that greatness in the kingdom is not measured by length of years, but by depth of commitment. In an age when we crave visibility and impact, Lucius teaches the power of quiet endurance, of leading not for acclaim, but for love. His exile and return echo the paschal mystery. Death giving way to life, suffering to restoration. His adherence to mercy for the lapsi reflects the gospel's heart, a God who seeks the lost, who binds up the broken. In the face of Novatian's purism, Lucius stands with Peter, whose own denials were forgiven. It is a reminder that the church is, in the words of Ephraim the Syrian, a hospital for sinners, not a fortress for the flawless. Lucius also points to Rome's growing centrality, his correspondence with Cyprian, his role as a rallying point for orthodoxy, foreshadows the papacy's later prominence. Yet in 253, this is no imperial primacy, but a primacy of service, of a bishop who, like Christ, lays down his life for his friends. The catacomb of Calixtus, where his bones rest, becomes a silent homily. Each slab, each inscription proclaims a church that endures not by might, but by martyrdom, not by power, but by prayer. As we leave Lucius, we stand on the edge of another pontificate, that of Stephen I, who will face new trials in a church still forging its identity. Lucius's life, brief, exiled, merciful, invites us to reflect on our own call to fidelity, to be light in darkness, as his name suggests. In a world that often mirrors the 3rd century's chaos, with its divisions and demands for conformity, Lucius whispers of a different way, the way of the cross, which leads through exile to the heart of God. Until next time, when we explore another chapter in this sacred chronicle,